Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome back to Sooner Intel with Jason Watkins from Hall of Fame College Football, along with Chris Griffin from the Horns Down podcast, and Mr. Mason from Sooners 360. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. Good to have you back.
It's a
Good to
big
be
week.
back.
Big
It's
week
a
this week, boys. Big week this week. You
big
got
week.
a helmet game in the Palace, Michigan, Oklahoma. A lot of trash being talked, man. There's a lot of trash being talked from the Michigan side, man. They just think they're going to come in and walk all over, unless you're talking to a couple of their creators that are actually, got a little more level head. But big game, big game, big game. What do you guys? What's your first thoughts?
OU has 47 4-star and 5-star recruits between 26, 27, and 28 at the game this weekend.
Very
47.
47. Damn.
Seven 5-stars, including the top offensive lineman, linebacker, and defensive tackle for 20 and cornerback for 2027. And somewhere in the range of 25 top 200 guys easily. So the recruiting side of things, if the football side of things can take care of business, could get real spicy real quick.
Nice, nice. So let's see. What are you thinking, Chris? What are your initial thoughts about this game and what you've been seeing in the lead up to it?
Oh no, it's going to be a great game. I think both sides have a lot of respect for each other. I think essentially what it's going to boil down to is just controlling the trenches both ways. It's kind of been a thing of I think kind of going under the radar is our defensive line simply because our offensive line, right, trying to get that right. You've seen a lot of people, the Monday morning quarterbacks try to come back and say, "Oh well, Mateer could do this, Mateer could do that," and the offensive line, there's a huge problem, this and that, and stuff like that. I think you get things back on track with that side of the ball, especially with some of your guys that are coming back on that offensive line. I think it's going to be a hell of a game, but I do have us winning. These past couple of years, man, night games at OU have been special. The OSU games, the Tennessee game last year, the Bama game. It's always going to be a loud and ruckus place, especially at night. Always been some special games. And the thing is that we're not giving BV any credit. We're not giving him any credit for the types of defense that he puts out, the efforts, the attention to detail, all of those. Um, he has his team prepared, at least defensively. One of the things that's going to be interesting, I told Jason this off screen today, was that I'm not going to go the length of saying that Arbuckle is better than Chip, but I think he will call a better game than Chip against Ohio State. Ohio State wants you to get finesse. They want you to not be physical. They want to be physical. They want to hit you in your mouth. And this is a game right here
And
where,
Michigan wants you to do that. Yeah.
yeah, oh, excuse me, Michigan. Yeah, I'm not sure if we have to attack. We can get out to an early lead and force them out of that run game, force them into obvious passing situations. I like our chances simply because I'm not convinced that they have an elite wide receiver core. Not sure that they. I think they have a solid wide receiver core. I think they can hurt you, but I don't necessarily know how good they really are going off the New Mexico tape. But again, just in brief, because I know we're about to jump into some O line and all the rest of that stuff as well. But that's just my thoughts about it. I think it's really a battle of the trenches and just who can execute. I don't think this is going to be a turnover type game, but I think it will come down to just who can execute and who can keep those chains moving.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, we were just talking about this. I was on the Maze Madman show a little earlier, and same kind of deal. I think that we're really worried about the run game and all this stuff right now as Sooner fans. I think it's something that we want to see them make a concerted effort to run the football. I think in this game, I think the last thing you need to do is worry about the run game. I think you need to go out, throw the damn football because that's their weakness right off the bat. I think it's their secondary. I mean, the New Mexico receivers were running free a lot of the time last week. So I think if you need to go out and turn this into a game where they have to play catch up with you and get into things that they don't like to do, which is throw the ball a lot. You know, they want to set it up. They don't mind throwing it, but they want to run the ball and establish the running game in order to get to their passing game. If you make them get into a situation where now they have to get out of their comfort zone, I think that's where you have the best opportunity to run off with this game and put him in a situation where it's going to be tough, right?
True, true,
Um,
true.
it just kind of is what it is.
No, that's true. That's true. Get into some specifics. Uh, I guess let's just start, let's let Chris Mason, since he's kind of our O line. I like to call him the O line guru. I set out some things today, some topics or whatnot that we can definitely jump on top of what you have for us, Jason, as well. But just O line starters, expectations, guys. Like Chris Mason, what do you hear? It seems like everybody except for Sexton is going to be ready to go. Who do you expect to start, and how do you see that rotation going if necessary?
So obviously, I think it should be Michael Fasusi starting at left tackle if he's had a good enough week of practice. He wanted to play last Saturday. The medical staff kept him out for a week. I think he should be good to go. Left guard gets kind of interesting. I think we'll see Fabechi Wewu there. I think we'll see Michaela at center. And then I think we will probably see Ryan Foji at right guard. And then we'll see Derek Simmons at right tackle. That's my guess right now.
Say your left tackle again.
So left tackle, I think, will be Fasusi.
Okay.
Okay, I think he's practiced this week, according to everything I've heard. I think left guard, you can't put Foji and Fasusi next to each other for the Michigan game. You just can't. So I think they'll have Fabechi at left guard. They'll have Makala at center. And then I think you'll have Foji at right guard. And then I think you'll have Derek Simmons at right tackle. Now, if Heath Ozeta is healthy, and this is the one question no one seems to have a real straight answer on, if Heath's ready to go, then obviously I think Heath's at left guard, Fabechi's at right guard, and everything else I told you is the same. And I think that's the lineup they want to go with. If everybody is healthy, and obviously I think you can just put Sexton in the not healthy bucket for the rest of the year. I think it's time to move on from that and go in different directions.
MCL, wasn't it? Didn't you get the MCL? He's at least out for a while.
This is his third knee injury. I just don't think his body's up for the wear and tear. So it's not his fault. I mean, he just can't stay healthy. But at some point, OU's got to start making some decisions about what they're doing about their left tackle for the season. So, but I think that's where you go. Obviously, the Everett Makula situation has a lot of nuance and layers to it. But that would be my guess right now. That's the O-line group that you would see with, I think, Howland, obviously. I think the best backup situation you have is at right tackle with Howland, Baklenko at left. If Ozeta's out, I'm not sure where your guard depth is beyond that.
Is he breaking up his speech a little bit to you, K. Chris, or is it
No,
just
he
me?
sounds good to me. He sounds perfect. He's coming out
I may
perfect.
pop out and come right back in. I'll be right back.
Okay.
So no, I mean that's kind of where I was going with the Chris Mason was. I kind of disagree just a little bit because I think Howland may be in that mix somewhere.
No,
And
I think he is, but I think if they want to try and get Simmons into the starting lineup. He was the right tackle they want to have. He's the big physical guy. He's the veteran. So
now I'm not even talking about Simmons. I'm actually talking on that left side. That's a really good pair. It actually, as the season went on last year, Ozada and Howland on that left side were actually pretty good together. They played pretty well together. They
Yeah,
had chemistry.
I think they want Howland on the right side backing up Simmons in case, because if Simmons gets another concussion,
Yeah,
that might be it. So I think they
yeah.
want Howland ready to slot in there. And I think, if you lose some of the veteran guys, and they've lost one in Sexton, it's a little bit of 2026 offensive line now, right? Because I think we all view a 2026 offensive line of Fasusi, Howland, Foji, Makula, and then whoever, and Ozetta. That would be five guys that you'd like to project as being your O line group for 2026. If you have to start making those decisions, have to start playing those guys this year, I think you do that because it would pay off for you this year. I mean, it's the most athletic group. It's probably the most talented group. So I think that's why you'll see Howland stick at right tackle and not try and flip flop him back to left and let Baklenko be your backup left tackle. He's athletic enough to handle it. He's just not. He's going to do pass pro fine. He's just not big enough, strong enough yet to really get you to be moving people in the run game right now. At least I don't. I think that's probably his weakest part of his game. But I think pass pro, he's going to give you everything that you need. So, but I think for Susi, with Sexton being out, I think that it's the time. It's time to just let Fasusi go. Let him play today. Let him play against Michigan. Play against Temple. Be ready for Auburn. Then you got Kent State, and then he's ready for Texas. Eddie got. I don't know what's quite going on there. Eddie is probably your backup guard, but he didn't have a great game against Illinois State. They went to Foji pretty quickly. So Eddie needs to be able to prove that he can take what he's been doing on the practice field and put it in play during games and keep his mental game at a high level. That's at least what it seems to be like. But yeah, Eddie's probably your backup at guard, and you go with him, and you just flip. He would replace Dewewu, or he would replace Foji, depending upon what goes on. You can flip Wewu between left and right guard, but I think Eddie's been playing primarily left guard in camp. So if you're down Ozetta and you're down someone else, then yeah, Eddie would probably play.
So Gunja says, I think we have the advantage though. We don't have to come out and rush for 200 yards. We need to run it just well enough to keep the Michigan defense guessing and worried. So Mateer and our wide receivers can cook. So we'll get to that run game here in a second, guys. I think really, it's still with the offensive line. The offensive line, they created holes last week. If you go back and watch the game in real time or just the highlights, little cutout spots, go watch Josh McCuistion, go watch Mr. McIntosh, or anybody who's done any highlight videos or just any kind of breakdown videos on OU. You saw holes last week. Running backs just have to get there. They have to hit that, right?
Yeah, and I think we're going to see more of the QB run game. We're going to see Mateer keep and get some yards. I think we're going to augment our running game with a dash of Mateer yards, maybe a big running play or two from him when their defense over pursues and overreacts, and he burns them for it. The Burks sort of end around play they did that he got where he went for 13 yards. That play could have been much bigger if you watch one of the Josh Scoop videos he put on YouTube. But also, if Mateer keeps that, he's gone for like 40 yards. He may have housed that. So I think what we'll see more is a higher level of sophistication in the QB run game and a higher level of Mateer being told, make your reads, keep the ball, and get yards. So I think we'll see a little of that. Running back room wise, I'll just tell you what I've heard is that Ott has had a good week of practice, taking first team reps, and is ready to go.
That's all that matters. Real quick before we move into that sphere. Okay.
Sure.
I would challenge all everybody that's in here, everybody that's on the panel. I would challenge you guys to go and do three things. Okay, well, four things actually. Go put on the tape. All right, there's four games that you guys need to go watch. Go watch the Ohio. Don't watch the Alabama game last year. That game's kind of just a mess. Alabama versus Michigan, right? Go watch Michigan versus Ohio State. See how they play and those bit down. Now, keep in mind they're not passing. They're not doing all the rest of those things. Bryce Underwood is not out there, so we kind of know what type of team they are. But you see them on the road. You see their backs against the wall, and you see how physical they want to play with those elite wide receivers that they had up there and that elite running game. So that just kind of gives you a dose of what they want to do. Obviously, it's 2025. Not trying to have you backtrack. Then I would challenge everybody, go and watch the Washington versus Washington State game last year. Washington is not Michigan. I will definitely give you that. But given the fact that your Mateer and Arbuckle were at Washington State, they had Kyle Williams, they had the Meredith kid, but they didn't have necessarily everything else. I would definitely challenge you guys to go watch that and see how he just keeps plays alive. It's not Johnny Manziel like, it's not even a Baker Magic early on. Like it's just Mateer. Mateer's making plays with his legs. Mateer's making plays with his arms. He's throwing cross body. He's doing all types of stuff, but it's connecting and it makes sense. They're running deep zones. They're running all types of stuff. They're giving him all types of different coverages and different. They're disguising things, but he's picking it up. He's reading it. Then I would say go watch the New Mexico game, kind of see, get a taste of what they're trying to do, Michigan wise, and then also just go back and watch our game, and you'll see some things that everybody on OU Twitter was going crazy about. Our run game is this, our run game is that, our offensive line this. And you'll see there were holes, there were different things that were in there. We were moving guys. Pass protection was fine. Pass protection was just fine. So no, I think if you go and watch those four games, I think you'll have a better idea, and I think it'll make you feel more confident about going into this game. This is a money game. I think that this is a game where Mateer and Arbuckle, this is why they came here. This is the type of stuff that they want. Arbuckle's 29 years old. He probably is inside of himself. He's probably nervous and excited at the same time, simply because this is a big test.
Yeah.
This is a test for his offense to go out there and for him to prove that this offense works against anybody. It's universal, right? And this is a big test for Mateer. This is a big game for Mateer, but I promise you, he will not fade away. So again, big games, man. OU night games have been spectacular over the last couple of years, outside of the K State game, but they have been really spectacular. So I expect us to go out there and put on a show. Now, Chris Mason, as you were saying, we can segue into the run game. Jason, you were out for a second, but Chris Mason said that it sounds like Ott is having a pretty good week of practice thus far. So I think the expectation would be for him to probably get a lot of carries. Javante Barnes probably is going to be in there. You know what? Javante Barnes is going to be useful because in a game like this, his pass blocking is probably his best feature right now. Um, don't necessarily know what Blaylock is going to bring if he's going to play, but I do know X Rob is there, who we all have a passion for. We love that guy, and it sounds like Tatum is healthy again. So I'll let you guys take that away.
No, I think that like I was saying before, I'm of the opinion that you need to run the ball, but I think you need to set it up with the pass. I don't think that there's any doubt about it. And I think that there's ways, and somebody was saying it in the chat a few minutes ago. You can run this scheme. You saw it with Leach. You saw it at times with Lincoln. Your run game can be supplemented with passes out of the backfield, screens, things like that. I mean, that can be an extension of your run game. And I think that the biggest thing is that you need to get your run game established by hitting passes. You got to get them out of the box. You cannot have 8 guys in the box and expect to be able to run against this front, because you're not going to. And I think that in the end, if you're going after the weaknesses on this defense, I don't think you need to do anything crazy. One thing that I really like that I heard from Ben Arbuckle and his press availability this week was that you got to attack this the same way you would attack any other game. I get it. It's a helmet game. It's a big game. It's the biggest game of the week as far as pitting ranked teams against each other and that kind of stuff. I don't think that you do want to change what you're trying to establish and is the what is the advantages that you have as an offense. What is the best part about your offense? It's your quarterback. This quarterback is the shots that we saw him taking. You know, his passes were on the money, and throwing guys open, throwing to spots instead of to players, whether he thought they were open or not. He was throwing to the open places and letting his players go and get the ball. That's what I like the most. And I think you need to continue doing that, and then let that pull those guys out of the box, and then you can hit them with the run.
Yeah, I mean, the wide receivers and Mateer are our best weapons, right? So, and Michigan. So the only concern, what you just said, Jason, would be that if Michigan is able to sort of stop the run with four guys, right? Or be able to basically commit more guys to coverage and still be able to stop the run. That's the concern there. But overall, I would agree with you. OU should lean to their strengths, which is John Mateer. Don't take the ball out of his hands. Let him make plays. You weren't on, but I said I felt like I think we're going to see a level of complexity and sophistication from the QB run game that OU didn't give away against Illinois State. That you're going to see Mateer probably carry the ball a little more than we're comfortable with, but that's going to be one of the counters, right? How do you counter what Michigan does? Okay, they've got to cover Mateer, the guy who they've got to put an extra person to make sure that they're covering Mateer, which slows their pass rush, and that guy can't be in coverage, right? So from a QB run game, that's the pressure you put the defense under. So I think I think the running game needs to be a complement. To use a boxing analogy, it's OU's jab. Mateer and the wide receivers are OU's overhead cross. You got to keep using the jab, and occasionally the jab will just hit the other boxer's defense, their hands. But occasionally you'll get a jab in, and it'll cause problems. But if we're going to knock people out, it's going to be with our passing game. To be kind of a crude analogy.
3 yards in a cloud of dust. I think that's what we said on Monday, Chris Mason, during the recruiting pod that we did. I expect us to be able to have opportunities to have more than 3 yards in a cloud of dust, but
they were there. They were there on Saturday, and Blaylock was starting to find them. So
yeah, as long as we can keep the chains moving, and as long as we can stay out of 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 6s, stuff like that. If we can do 3rd and 4 or less, I'm pretty happy with on the day as far as what will happen.
Well, and I would say too, you didn't see a ton of stuff on the edges in the run game either last week. So my expectation is that you're probably, that was probably something they were saving for that. Like Mr. Mason just said, different stuff with the run game, and as far as the quarterback's concerned, you're going to do some stuff with that. I'd love to see some stretch plays though. Zone stretch, things like that we know that they're able to do, but we didn't see any of it last week. So and that may be by design. I think it's obvious that it was probably by design. They didn't want to show anything that you're probably going to see this week, but I don't have any inkling that you think you're going to go out there and beat them at their game, which is what I think it was the wildest thing ever that Ohio State did that last year. I was telling them that on their pod earlier. It was like crazy to me that they wouldn't have just gone out there and tried to pick you apart, because even last year their secondary wasn't as good as it had been in the year before that, when they were the national champions. So I think you can get some running game going, and you got to stick to it, right? You're going to have to stick to it to keep them honest. But aside from that, I think that you need to attack their weaknesses more than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, lots of people have been, lots of fans are freaking out over the running game, and I was like, okay, I get you, but I don't think enough attention was given to the fact that we couldn't pass block Mother Teresa last year effectively, and guys didn't know who they were blocking and got ran over. just whiffed on defensive ends. And, I think it was Pro Football Focus said something like 80% of Mateer's dropbacks, he had a clean pocket or something along those lines. And if those plays Mateer was making in the passing game was from the pocket, he wasn't scrambling around doing the Baker Tennessee nonsense where he was just making crap up. It was in the pocket, reading the defense, and again, as we said, throwing to open areas and throwing guys open, throwing guys in stride. It was a level of sophistication to our passing game that reminded us of our old passing game. Maybe even with the way we attacked the middle, maybe even more so than what Levy did. It was a little Lincoln-like from that perspective in terms of the way the passing game worked. Guys were schemed open, and they were hit. The way they were using Canick kind of reminded me of the Jeremiah Hall, Dimitri Flowers kind of plays that we remember from 16, 17, and 18 when they were just so successful doing that stuff. So I think, offensively, we'll see where OU is, but it's going to be an interesting game. But like I said, Chris, now that you're back, that Ott took first team reps. Multiple people have reported that. Primarily, I'm going off what George Stoya says because I think George has probably the best read internally on those kind of things. I heard that from another source outside my own source that can kind of confirm that. And obviously, I think Blaylock is out, but
Confirmed what?
confirmed that Ott was having a good week of practice.
Oh, okay.
That Ott's been taking first team reps. That's been reported in a couple of places.
Right.
George, I heard that from George Stoya first. I've seen it elsewhere as well. But one of my sources was able to confirm yes, and he's had a really good week of practice. He's been working hard. They were more positive about Ott than they had been the previous week, where they had indicated to me that they thought Ott might be a little limited in what he was doing. That we were going to see more of Barnes and Blaylock, which kind of turned out to be true. And I told you guys that sort of privately before the game last week. So you guys can confirm that. So I think Ott, it's a money game. It's an NFL scout game. I think Jaden, Mr. Ott, it's time to get on the field and prove you're ready to be the first round pick or the second round, first or second day running back that everybody says. And Michigan's defense this is a money game. This is how you prove that you are that elite running back, right? That you can make those plays, you can make that guy miss. That OU's going to put pressure on Michigan's defense with the QB run game and the pass game, so that they may have that chance. If he makes a guy miss, he can go for 20 yards, right? That your jab can hit full flush. So, but obviously, I think Xavier Robinson will play. I think we'll see him, maybe some short yardage stuff, and maybe OU will use him a little more, give him a little more first short yardage help than just the vanilla stuff they were doing against Illinois State.
No, this is a game you got to bring that kitchen sink out. You can't.
Yeah, exactly. But you also just schematically do some things to just help him more, right? And we were very vanilla on some of those fourth down and short yardage stuff. But I also think, as you said, Javonte Barnes is a good pass blocker. He's a pretty good receiver out of the backfield. I don't think he's as good as Ott, but you want to keep Mateer upright. If that means you have to have a little more Barnes than we would like, but that keeps the passing game humming, I'm willing to take that compromise.
Guys, just to kind of flip it, we talk about our run game against their defense. Let's talk about their run game against our defense. I think where they could try to attack us, maybe down the field, try to get maybe RSJ looking in the backfield, Peyton Bowen looking in the backfield, but I just don't know. I think you're going to dial it up from a lot. But I think that you feel good about your corners. I like Guillory. I like what I saw from Guillory. I thought Guillory had an excellent game last week. A lot of times he was on their best wide receiver, who is Seems like probably like one of the top wide receivers in the FCS. So for a true freshman to come out there and kind of be left on the island, that was a really good test. Again, like I said, Illinois State, that some of the things that they do defensively, it was a solid test for OU simply because people, if you don't respect them, that's fine, that's you. But if you really want to get your football knowledge up, watch them. Watch some of their games. Watch some of the things
Yeah,
they do. They present a lot of things. They just don't necessarily have all the athletes and have the depth that a lot of the elite teams have that we feel like we have, right? So anyways, going to Michigan, I think it's something to say that Justice Haynes had 3 carries for what 18 yards last year against us.
yeah,
Really, it really was not effective. It came at some point. Jam Miller had a couple of runs against us, but for the most part, we shut that down against Bama. Right. I think this is a game where I don't necessarily know if you load the box right off the bat, but I think the opportunity will present itself. I think that the fans will be really loud, really rowdy, and I think they may affect Underwood a little bit. At some point, he's got to come back down to earth, right? So we're gonna have to see. I think Bryce Underwood has all the intangibles. He makes quick decisions. It seems like, but I think it's gonna be really interesting to see how he reacts to a Venables defense when um, Venables comes out there, it looks very plain Jane, everything looks great, nobody is there, and then all of a sudden, here goes Taylor Wine dropping down, dropping back in coverage. You think that you have that stick route, that little hitch right there, quick hitch, and there goes, R. Mason Tubman rushing you, and then all of a sudden, here goes McKenzie running right there to where your hitch is. So it's going to be really interesting to see a lot of the different coverages and everything that they present to them. I think that this year, because we do have the depth and we have guys back there in the backfield, I don't think that our defense has to necessarily take the chances. Also, on top of that, is the fact that we feel like we have an adequate offense too. So I don't think that our defense has to take all of those chances. I heard on a coach's corner today, Miguel Chavis was talking about that. Just everybody do your job. Don't try to go and do something that you don't have to. I think a
No,
lot of
no hero ball,
yeah,
right?
I think last year that's what we got caught up in. I mean, Billy, a lot of those kids are just trying to make plays, trying to give the offense another opportunity to try to get some type of life going. You know what I'm saying? So I think this year you don't have to necessarily worry about that. It's just kind of a do your job, play your assignment, and I think that we will be okay. But just I'll pass the mic now. Our defense against their run game, or just our defense against them in general.
I
yeah.
think, hey,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think just a real quick comment and get it back to Jason, get a chance to talk a little bit. Kendall Daniels is big in this game because having a big cheetah at Sam linebacker, which is basically what we'll need in this game, and his ability to be a spy on Underwood and also drop back into coverage, help with the short passing game, and just those 6'5" arms and wingspan and passing lanes. Underwood's never seen. This is the stuff Underwood hasn't seen before. So I think he's key, and obviously the big guy. And when we get to our predictions, I said this. It's Kobe McKenzie. This is his game. He has to call a great defense. We have to be lined up correctly, in the right fits, and Kobe needs to be the hammer to stop their inside run game. If we get that from him, and Daniels can do some of the things that he flashed last week and we've been hearing about, I think that gives OU an edge against Michigan. That we have a couple of X factors. Michigan's won't see the rest of the season. Kendall Daniels is one of them, and I think our depth and push from our interior tackles is the other. Go ahead, Jason.
No, yeah, I think so too. And when it comes to the run game, I think it's going to be what I saw last week in the run game, and they gave up those 2 decent sized runs or whatever. It feels like they were kind of blown assignments. It was more, or maybe they were just kind of overshooting it. And when you get the depth that the edge guys were able to get especially on tackles like that from an FCS school, Sometimes you can overrun the lane. And so I think it was just more than anything else. I believe, just kind of looking at it, that it was more that they weren't being as, I don't know, I'm losing the word that I'm looking for here, for what they're doing in the run game. They weren't getting to their spots. They weren't making sure that they were being getting their assignment done. Now, overshooting it or something like that, and especially for some of these guys that, I mean, you're going for sacks on these quarterbacks, and you got to figure that they're going to try to try to throw against you. Whenever, I don't feel like you're going to see as much of that, and you'd rather kind of have to slow them down than speed them up. So where they were 100% running at it and just, hair on fire the entire time, that's where it's easier to kind of go back and back them down a little bit and say, look, got to make sure that we're getting to your assignment and not missing that there. You don't want to overrun the depth of the quarterback. That's one of the main things about being an edge rusher guy. You don't get more depth than what the quarterback is at, ever. And so if you see some of that happening, that makes natural run lanes, and particularly with one of them was the quarterback run. You know what I mean? You get past him, he's going to take off. That gives you some, a good yardage on that. To me, I'm not really that worried about that part of it. I think that you're expecting different from these guys. You're expecting them to come out and hand the ball off to Justice Haynes early and their other backs and probably try to get, having a guy like Underwood, you're going to try to get him going with his legs a little bit too. The same way you expected from Alabama last year with Jalen Milroe. He's a better player passing the ball whenever he is able to get out there and make something happen with his legs. They took that away from him immediately, made it one-dimensional. That hurt him. They're going to try to run the football on you for sure. I think there's no doubt about that, and they know what to expect with that. So my feeling is you're going to see a different deal than that deal from last year. And I know a lot of people are freaking out. Oh, they got 120 yards against us. Big deal. They had 147 overall yardage. It was nothing. So
they completely sacrificed their passing game to run clock and run the football. Illinois State just basically said, we're going to run clock and run football. We're going to milk the clock. We're going to have, they basically had almost 30 minutes of possession off 47 plays. So that's, and the couple of run plays, if you saw Teddy talk about it, he said, we made bad calls. We expected them to pass and they ran on us and we got caught a little bit. And he said, and he says, I know what we were doing, but we should have assumed some of the draw play stuff that they were doing because they weren't interested in throwing the ball. So I think it was a couple of bad play. I think Teddy said, and I think Brent probably would agree. Yeah, that's a terrible call. I put our guys in a bad spot. 3rd and 13. I should have presumed they were going to do a draw play, and we should have been ready for that. Instead I had our pass rush ready, and they caught us with the right call. So. But I think it's
I feel like you'll be a little more locked in this week on an offense and
yeah. Again, and Michigan's going to have to, come to play. They can't do this. We're going to run clock and just get out of town without getting too injured, which is basically what Illinois State did. That's what their coach was saying. Like, we're gonna run the ball. We're not going to do our no huddle, and we're gonna keep possession as much as possible, and we're going to grind out things, and we're going to stop OU's run as much as possible because we don't want to get beaten up that way. I think it'll, Brent's going to be they're going to be, if they, I don't sure how much time they really spent on Illinois State in camp. Everything's been in the focus for Michigan, so I think they're going to come. As Chris with the K said, it's kitchen sink time, and Brent's been brewing all kinds of stuff in the defensive coordinator cauldron to throw it Underwood. We're gonna be rocks. We're gonna be hair on fire. Very similar, I kind of think, level of effort and performance to the Tennessee game. It's just hopefully our offense won't give the ball away and won't tank the momentum the defense grabbed.
That's the main thing is that, you need to go out there and put together a strong offensive game plan. And whether that, and to me, I mean, your quarterback passed for over 80% last week. The interception that he had, really, to me, that was just to keep Burks from getting his head knocked off. He threw it behind him on purpose.
Yeah, yeah, and the other fumble was that's probably the first time Canick's gotten hit and has taken a hit in live football game with the ball in his hands since high school.
Well, he kind of got separated from his hands, right? He had the ball and then he got kind of separated away from it. And so, of course, it got knocked out. I mean, it kind of is what he didn't have a chance to pull it into his body. It's he kind of got separated from it. So it was a deal where I don't think he's got a big fumble problem or anything
No,
like that.
no.
And I think that that's another deal. Look, you have to account for that kid now. You have to account for him. A lot of people weren't excited about seeing him as tight end number one. I'm freaking elated with it. I think it's awesome that this is a kid that went through the struggles that he went through on the defensive side of the ball to be able to come back out there and show, hey, I am a good football player. End of story. You know what I mean? So I'm excited about what you got there, and that gives you another place that they have to pay attention to. They can't just look at this tight end's just a blocker. You've got to pay attention to them, and with the weapons that they have on the outside. Again, I don't see a reason why you're not really trying to dose them up with the passing game, and that's how you get that offense started, man.
Yeah.
All right. So, Will, I'm talking about that. What are you guys' expectations? I'll go to you first, K. Chris. Is Mateer going to have a career day today or on Saturday?
I won't say career day numbers wise. I think that he's around 255, 275 passing, but I think it's enough because I think that field position will be really good in this game because I do give our defense a slight edge. Um, I think it will be one of those games where it will be a statement to where he makes some odd throws and he makes some odd plays that keep drives alive and keep drives going.
Yep.
And I think that we get in the end zone. I think we get in the end zone a bunch. Obviously, you guys saw my score. We'll get into that later, but I don't think he has a career day statistically. But I think that it's a game that basically says, "Hey, everything that you guys said about me, national media this summer, everything that OU fans thought that I could be, I am." I think it's one of those type of games where it's a statement game to
Get
the
on the
rest of
map,
the
baby.
nation. Yeah,
Get on
that
the
hey,
map.
I can do it against these G5 teams as you were saying, but I also did it against P4 teams last year, and I'm showing you yet again I'm can do it against anybody anywhere. I can get it on.
Yeah. What
And you know,
about you, Mr. Mason?
I was just gonna say one thing that stuck out to me last week was a drive, and it wasn't any pass that he made, it wasn't anything. It was the simple fact that he was directing Blaylock and other guys where to go, where to be at. Instead of rushing the play, instead of trying to do all that stuff, he sat there, he figured out where he wanted his guys to be, looked at their defense, then got guys situated again. And I said, that's our quarterback. That's what you're supposed to do. So just little things like that right there just show me like this guy has what it takes to get to that next level, which starts this weekend.
All right. What about you, Mr. Mason?
Well, he's already passed for 392 yards and three TDs, and so he's got a four TD. So basically, 400 yards and four TDs is kind of his baseline right now. So if he hit that against, combined rushing and passing, if he hit 400 yards on Saturday and he scores four touchdowns, I'm not sure I can imagine a way we lose a game if you tell me that's his stat line. But I think he has. I think he has one of those moments where OU needs him to put a drive together, and he kind of wills us. He does a little bit of that will us down the field kind of routine. The same sort of stuff we saw from the other great quarterbacks that have played at OU in the last 25 years. We have a couple of moments. It's less statistics and maybe more moxie leadership, for lack to use those kind of cliche terms, where we say, yeah, did you see that drive? Mateer took us down and we got the points we needed to win this game. And he did that.
I think that's the biggest thing that he brings to the table anyway. His level of moxie and belief in himself and what they're doing, his ability to distinguish what's going on out on the field. He's reading the entire field. I think that that's the biggest thing. His confidence being, injected into this football team is something they needed really bad, particularly after last year. But I even think there was times that you could tell, even when they went 10-2 the year before that, that there was some problems with being confident at certain times of certain games. And so I think a guy like this is exactly what you need for your football team. And yeah, could he have a career game? I think it's a tough baseline to get over that one that he had last week, especially against a defense like this. But chances are he could. You hit a couple of long shots, and 300 yards isn't crazy. It's not. And here's the other thing: if you don't think that you're going to end up with some rushing yards after that, I think you're kind of crazy. Because they're going to have to pull some guys back and make sure that they're covering it deep. You're not going to be able to stack the box against them. If you can't run against a box that is light, then you're probably going to have some problems. But I don't think that that's going to be the case. I think that a lot of what you saw, again, was Javonte Barnes running into the back of freaking linemen a lot of the time. Torrey Holt didn't have that problem. Tory Blaylock, and Torrey Holt.
I'm not sure Torrey Holt's running the ball much these days, but yeah.
No, he's not. But I was thinking of the speed, I guess, man.
Again, yeah. Well, I got you.
Torrey Blaylock didn't have that issue, though.
It's not.
Mateer, he was able to get away and get some yardage as well whenever he needed to. I think you're going to see a lot more of that. And I go back to 2 years ago when they played Texas, and we were talking about it all the week leading up to it, that the team that has a 100-yard rusher or that has the most rushing yards usually wins the Red River game. We were worried because that team had not been the team that we had seen on the field in Oklahoma. They weren't running the ball well up at that point. Dylan Gabriel gets the 100 yards. You know what I mean? You got the rushing where you needed to get it from, and this guy is probably not probably. He's a better runner than Dylan was.
Oh, he's much better. I mean, more elusive, and I think he's got a little better speed and acceleration. So
usually, I'm gonna throw a little point out there, and let's see if you guys are with me or not. But usually, when DeMarco has a really good running back, pretty effing good, pretty good on the ground. Despite the woes of the O line, there's some good backs that have made our O line look better than what they have been in the past. To be honest with you, so
Eric Gray certainly complimented them, and made them look better than they were.
Yes, exactly.
In 22. So
I just say that and those are different styles, and it's. Again, it's the guys who can do what DeMarco wants you to do, which is pass block, which is to be patient behind your blockers, but also the guys who are most successful under DeMarco are the guys who can do those two things, but also be themselves, right? And so that's the issue with the Bournes, a Sawchuk when we had them. Those guys were basically Kennedy Brooks, and you're like, hey, one of you has world-class speed, the other one, you have pretty much all the intangibles, but you got to put those things together, right? Obviously, got to stay healthy. But no, I think this is a game where would I be shocked if I came out there and went crazy? Not necessarily. I think that with our guys back, which I'm eager to see, the starters, I think the starters will. I think it's going to be a good night. I think it's going to be a good night.
I guess just to answer the question, though, that we asked of whether or not he has a career day, maybe not. I think, like you said, I think he puts himself on the map. I think he has a good day for sure. Whether or not he gets 4 touchdown passes and a total of 400 yards, I don't know. I think he's going to make enough big plays that he is going to announce his presence on the scene as one of the leading quarterbacks in the country and a Heisman candidate, I think, for sure.
I mean, yeah. Again, if he wins, uh, I'm less worried about the overall stat line than I am his leadership and his ability to command our offense,
Oh yeah.
to take advantage of what Michigan is giving us, to keep the ball, get first downs, keep our defense rested, and keep the pressure on Michigan's offense to have to try and score, right? That, teams just sort of went into shells against us when they got up by 10, 14 points because they knew, we didn't have a counter. We didn't have a counter. But with Mateer, I think we're going to be able to keep those margins close, keep games close, and keep the pressure on the opposing offense. Let's pressure Underwood to have to make plays in the fourth quarter when he doesn't know what coverage OU's in and he doesn't know where blitzes are coming from. Right? That's what we want. We want him to have the ball fourth quarter, and he has the pressure on him that he's got to somehow put a drive together, and he's confused at what Brent's doing, and he's nervous, which is what we didn't get to pressure anybody last year. Quarterbacks got to be, for the most part, relaxed against us because, even with our defense playing well, they're like, well, we're up by 10. I can hand off 3 times and punt, and it wouldn't matter. That's not pressure on offenses and offensive coordinators and quarterbacks. That's them operating in a controlled space, and that's not. And that's what I think Mateer gives us. He will keep the pressure on Underwood and the Michigan offense to have to make plays. And eventually, I think they'll make a mistake.
I agree. I think that's how I see the game going. Is that they're going to force them into a situation where they have to play from behind, which means they have to get away from how they like to do things. That's how you win this game. That's how you win this game. So, yeah. But Doyle, New Mexico had 50 yards rushing. Right. Go look at what they did passing the ball, and they were in the game. They were within 10 points of them in the big house in the fourth quarter.
The interesting thing about that game as well is that they made a couple of runs, 50 yards, but what they killed Michigan on was honestly just kind of the lot of bootleg stuff, a lot of little misdirection stuff. They had that defense going the other way while they were basically just kicking out in the flats to their H backs, their tight ends, and their running backs. So that's where they started to move the ball, but they obviously they got a trick play and they got a touchdown off of that, but then they scored again. So I mean they were able to start. They found a little bit of a groove, but it was just the fact that it was very Michael Prattish, if I may, the former Tulane quarterback that was down there. That quarterback for New Mexico, he got put on his ass a bunch of times, but he kept getting up. So it was just one of those things where they at times they did move the ball pretty well against them on simple things. It wasn't necessarily anything extraordinary. It was taking what the defense was giving you and then just working off of that and making plays.
And again, let's be honest, without the Burks, and Mateer being a little off on their, Burks misreading things, Mateer maybe reading things at a higher level. Without that interception, OU shuts out Illinois State. They weren't scoring. They were not getting in a position to kick a field goal and score. And they got the ball at the 20, and they basically kicked, a 37-yard field goal? They didn't go anywhere with it. So, I think OU's defense, had the better day. And I've seen some stat stuff that says that there's really no difference between Illinois State and New Mexico. If you look at,
I would bet Illinois State against UNM any day, any year, any damn time. The Lobos are trash. They've always been trash.
I mean, they were a playoff team, and ask Kansas State if the FCS is nonsense.
All they could do.
All they could be. So I think, and several of my sources said, OU treated this, and if Brent was honest, he treated this like a preseason scrimmage, preseason exhibition game. He just did.
Yeah.
You notice that by the number of players that played. OU was up in the 55 range of participants. They've got about 10 guys they're trying to redshirt, and they got 10 guys that were hurt. They didn't play in the game. So, you know, that's nearly maxing out the roster for the most part. So, I think it's going to be it's Michigan presents all kinds of difficulties, and they're a good team. They've got good talent. They've got good coaches. But this is at some point, Brent. You just got to win these games, and you've got a quarterback that can. And the quarterback, so far, what we've seen, you've got an edge at quarterback, at least in terms of experience, and that matters on the road, as we saw with young Mr. Arch looking stunned and clueless in Columbus. Clueless in Columbus. He was unprepared. The moment was too big for him. Now maybe it won't be for Underwood,
I
but
don't think you could put it as just as much on. I think you can also stick a lot of that on Sark. But I get what you're saying. I
no,
agree
no.
with
And Starks,
Yeah,
Starks
fellas,
has
fellas,
managed
let,
that. So, but
let's
we're talking Michigan, not last week.
let's talk Michigan. Let's focus on us because
Yeah,
this weekend, they're going to do their thing against San Jose State. We
yeah.
get to see OSU take a belt to ass whooping. But right now, it's
Well,
Michigan.
we'll get to that. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's Michigan talk, people.
yeah. Let's
facts.
go over our expectations, man. Let's see who
Let's
we
go
think.
with the game stuff. We'll go with the game stuff here first. First off, let's take a look at well, where is it? Last week's game stuff. Okay, there we go. All right. So you have what the hell? All right. This is what we had last week. Obviously, way off on. Let's see. Blaylock did lead he was a leading rusher. Um, yeah, I was way off on that. Hawkins didn't even play. So, it is what it is. But yeah, Keontez Lewis, yeah, leading receiver as well. So, to me, I thought that was good. Um, I'm excited about that one. Let's see. Let me move this back. And so I can get you guys in the scene here. Sorry about that. Okay, Chris by himself. All right. Yeah, so yeah, I had Keontez Lewis, leading receiver. Burks was right there with them though too. I mean, they spread it around. It was great to see that how many guys that he hit. I think that was as big as anything. Over 300 passing yards. I was the only one.
No, you
No,
weren't.
no, none of us had it. We were all thinking it was going to be below it. So that was a miss on our part. That was a miss. But I also think we were kind of looking at them playing a bunch of guys. They didn't. You know what I mean? It was more
Yeah,
a. Go ahead.
no, with the way Illinois State ran clock, we lost a lot of the possessions I thought we'd have, and the slow start didn't help. So, and the third quarter, the penalties and the turnovers, it just kind of it reduced the game. So you had to give Mateer as much time with his wide receivers. So that meant he played longer than I thought he was going to play.
Facts. Yeah. Yeah. Just kind of keep going through it. I mean, we're basically here, so we can go ahead and move to this other stuff. But obviously, well, special teams touchdown, man, they were close, but no, it didn't happen. I think I was the only one that expected us to do that, to get one, but they didn't get that one done. But I think it was a good situation overall, where you've got, they Satana was definitely threatening being able to take it to the house. You know what I mean?
K. Chris had the right score.
He did have the
So
right.
his
Yeah,
read of the game was on how good Illinois State was and the things they could do was pretty much on target.
Fair enough. Yeah, and it's yeah. I mean, I think overall it was. We were trying to like go with somebody different for everybody. I think obviously we a little different this week. I'm trying to replace the speaker here on this, and I'll move it in there. Um, let's go with our predictions for this week. Leading rusher, I think, yeah, we both have. Okay, Chris and I have Jay Knott, um, Chris Mason. As more a little about what you were talking about earlier, you're expecting it to be John Mateer.
And I'm expecting him to break a big run like that. Michigan over pursues and Mateer makes them pay and cuts back and finds a seam against them. It could be
Gotcha.
one big run that puts them over the top.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. Um, yeah, leading receiver, I've got Keontae again. So does Kate Chris. You've got Deion Burks. Neither would surprise me, nor would it being like Sategna or something like that either. I think again he showed that he will spread it around, and it could also. I think it. I almost wanted to change to it. I think it could be Jaren Kanak. It could very well be Jaren Kanak. This is the leading receiver in this one, so we'll see. Does he pass for 300 yards? Chris Mason and myself both believe he will. Why do you say no, okay, Chris?
I mean, as I explained earlier, I think it's just one of those games where I think that you will be in short yardage situations. I think that you will, or excuse me, I think that you'll have favorable field position coming off a punt. I think that you'll be able to. Um, I think this is a game where we get a sack or two. I think that we get maybe a few sacks or so. I think we're going to be in the backfield an awful lot on their tackles. I know listening to a lot of football talk this week seems like their tackles are somebody that are
Concerning for
kind
them.
of a weakness. But essentially turning that into what Mateer can do, I think is one of those things where he's kind of in favorable field position, and we are able to move the ball. But I think that will also come with a little bit of the run game, him using his legs. So I could see him having, again, somewhere between 255, 275 through the air. I think that's enough to get it done. And I think that he will probably pick up at least maybe 20 to 40 yards with his legs as well. So it's just one of those things where I think that, yeah.
Okay.
You think OU gets the ball at like the 50 a couple of times and had some short drive stuff,
Yes.
as opposed to the Illinois State drives where we were going 80, 95, 80, 95. So you just think we're going to end up with some shorter yardage.
Yeah, I think that we will be able to play a little bit of the field position game.
Okay.
Mhm. Moving on to will OU have a 100-yard rusher? None of us are saying yes. I think that's going to be the tough one for them. You're not probably going to run a whole lot against this defense. And again, I don't think that is the attack that they're going to go with, to be honest with you. I think that they're going to try to exploit them through the air. So no, I don't expect one. Would it surprise me if they got one? Maybe not. It'd be more of a garbage time deal if they did, where you're trying to run the clock after you've got a big lead or whatever. But I don't think a 100-yard rusher is probably going to happen. Was there anything you want to add to that, either of you guys?
No, I think you could see if OU's able to have a little better success running the ball. I think you might see like 60 yards from one guy, 50 from another, and it's more about the balance at running back and the numbers they use.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to will OU score a special teams touchdown? Let's see. No, none of us. Oh, I've got. Do I have?
Yes, you do. You think they
I didn't
go?
think that I did. I didn't think that I did, but okay. I'll say this. Would it really surprise me? No, because I think that Sategna was really. I think he's going to break one at some point this year. Could be this week. I don't know. They did talk a little bit about they were a little concerned with their special teams, but mostly I think they're good with their kicker. But we'll see kind of what happens with it. I don't know. I thought I'd put no there, so my bad. I thought I'd put no there. Defensive touchdown. I think that's what it was. I was trying to swap it for that. I think they get a defensive touchdown in this one.
Is it a pick six? You think that's what we're gonna get?
Yeah, I think we get a pick six or something along those lines. They're gonna get to this young guy. Again, I really like this quarterback. I think Bryce Underwood's going to be an unbelievable player. I think this is a lot to ask for a first year guy to go out there and lead the way and carry you. I don't think that's going to happen. And I know, in my opinion, they're not running the ball down OU's throat. It's not going to happen. That's what Oklahoma's expecting. They're going to make you beat them with their arm, with his arm. And I think that gets him in a bad position. So yeah, I just swapped those two, I guess, on that.
Okay.
Offensive plays over 50 yards. We all, oh well, okay, Chris and myself believe there will be one, at least one. Chris Mason, no. Why no?
I think, well, last week I thought they would have several, and he didn't have any because technically Kanik had a 48-yard play. So I think OU's going to have a bunch of chunk plays, 20 yards plus. But I think Michigan's team speed on defense perhaps stops OU from like housing something, and they're a pretty good defense. I mean, they're well coached. I think we're going to break some plays, but I think Michigan is able to stop us from housing some things.
Mm-hmm.
That's why.
Yeah. All right. And where are you expecting the 50-yard plus play from there? Hey, Chris.
Where am I expecting a 50-yard plus play? I think it's going to be. I think kind of watching that defense, watching the games that I did. I think those dig routes are going to be there again. I do. I don't necessarily see us necessarily taking one home like we did last week, but I think those deep routes are going to be there. Also, I will say it's going to be interesting with Kearney back in the fold, maybe a Carion, obviously Dion Burks, guys like that. If can they work that sideline? Meaning, if you go back and watch this offense, if you go back and watch what they want to do, that's where they really like to take their shots. They like to go up. They like to get that matchup on the outside, and they like to work that outside. So, or excuse me, they like to work that sideline. So that go route down the sideline is always there. It's mostly there. If the ball is not on the throne, that's a money play. That's a cash play. So I will be interested to see those. But I think it's going to come off like kind of like a deep dig, or it could also come off of one of those sideline throws that they make in this offense an awful lot. It's a hell of a play, especially when you get the right coverage. When you find the right coverage that you want to run that play against, it's a hell of a look. So that's the play that I see coming off. Either one of those plays is what I see that 50-yard bump coming off of.
So the Gabe and Teddy keep talking about Satenia on deep routes and practice. So I think if anybody goes for 50 yards or more, it's going to be Satenia on a deep play. And we've caught Michigan because we didn't really show a lot of that against Illinois State. All of a sudden they get their focus on Burks
Yeah.
and Lewis, and all of a sudden they're like, who has Satenia deep? And the answer is no one, and he's wide open, and it's just a question: does Ken Mateer see him or not, and get him the ball deep?
Another way that I could see that happening too is this. You saw a lot of out routes. I see double move. The guys on that other show that I was on earlier were talking about that. They didn't show anything that was a double move, so you might end up seeing a wheel route. That turns into a long play there like that too, because they're biting down on that out route, and so then they hit that wheel route headed up the field. I can see that being one of them as well. That's the hope, I guess, moving into that. So yeah. Does OU hold Michigan under 300 yards? We all believe that they will. I think if you don't, it's probably a rough day for Oklahoma. Don't you guys think?
Well, it depends if when they get the yards, like if it's a garbage drive and they go over, you know what I'm saying, and it's like OU's up and Michigan's just grinding out a drive and it's just picking up some yards. But I think like meaningful yards, I think OU keeps them under 300. Yeah.
Okay. What about you, kickers?
Yeah, I think that we hold them under 300 yards. I think it's a tough out for them trying to run the ball like they want to try to impose their will. I think they'll have a couple of runs maybe early on in the game, and we shall see. But I think once we settle in, I think that our defensive line will get the better of that matchup. It'll all boil down to can can he get help from? Can he get help outside of his running backs and his tight ends? Can he get help from his receivers? That's going to be the question. Um, I think that I'm interested to see who's going to call this game. Meaning the referees are because obviously we're not going to have SEC. I don't think we're have Big Ten, so maybe like Big 12 or ACC. So it'd be
Hey, it
interesting.
should be. I think there's going to be a Big Ten.
Is it
Crew.
is it Big
Yeah,
Ten or is it
because we go to Ann Arbor next year, so we should get SEC refs up there. So
okay?
I think it's going to be a
that's
big.
usually how that contract goes, right? As long as there's a return date,
Uh-huh. So
the away team gets their refs.
so the interesting thing is just how physical do they let us play? Because to me, I think that watching Guillory, I think Guillory wants to be physical with you. Um, Whereas I think that Gentry can do that, but also I think Gentry is just so fast and so tall and so just he's a great athlete, especially when he's healthy, and he's a guy that can basically run your route for you and show you what to do, then take it home. So I'll be interested in that. I think Kendall Daniels is a guy that gives me a lot of hope as far as kind of shutting down those tight ends as well. I think he's a guy to come out there. It's really going to come down there to our front seven. Honestly, it's going to come down there to our defensive line, our backers. What are they doing? Are they playing with discipline? Are they taking care of their assignment? All the rest of that. We do those things. I think we can hold them under 300 yards. Not saying that they can't get 250 or something like that, but I think we can hold them under 300 yards.
Okay. Yeah, I do too. I think that you're gonna. As I said, I feel like if you don't, it's probably not a good thing for Oklahoma. So to me, I feel like that believing that they're going to win and what they plan on doing, trying to shut down that run and make him have to beat you with his arm, probably going to get some turnovers. I think it's going to be tough sledding for these guys this week. I really do. All right, let's see. Defensive MVP. You've got the D line. Talk to me, there, K. Chris.
He's kind of cheating there, but all right.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
say
I will allow it because I wanted to hear his explanation for it.
I say the D line because I think depth wise it's going to be it's going to be a hell of a night. I think that you will have. I think Jaden Jackson will pop. I think that this is a game where Williams, you want your money, go make it. I think this is where you need to be the run stuffer. You need to be the alpha. It's not about numbers this game. It's about being disruptive in that middle. But I think that when you come with the Haltons and the David Stone is finally the speed of the game has slowed down for him. And so now he can do the things that you saw him doing in high school that had everybody excited, which is not only can he be physical and aggressive and pop open, but his first step is insane, and that's a kid that pops open and is not only disruptive but gets home, and he has moves there. So with Halton, him, you have a Marcus Strong that can get in there as well. I think the interior of the defense is going to dissuade or going to have a heavy influence on what Michigan does throughout the game. I don't think this is a game where you line it up 40 times to try to run the ball. I think that would be to the detriment of them. Then on the perimeter, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of mini games they try to run towards R. Mason. I think what's going to have to happen is obviously somebody's going to have to step up. We've been talking about it all summer. Somebody's going to have to step up on that other side, set the edge, obviously, but get to the quarterback. Taylor Wine, Marvin Jones Jr., Koye, PJ Adebaware, whoever the hell it's going to be, somebody needs to step up and we need to be solid on that other side. But again, I think that you're disruptive on the inside, and I think that you get a lot of pressure from your perimeter players. So I think that that D line is going to a D line. Not only are they going to make the secondary look good, but they're going to open up lanes for Kobe McKenzie, in my opinion, to have probably his finest day as an Oklahoma Sooner. If Kobe McKenzie wants to turn heads, he needs to do it in this game. This is his type of game. This is not a game where he's going to have to go necessarily be Mr. Super Lateral. This is a game where he can come downhill and knock the hell out of somebody. So
I love
that's that's what I expect. And that's why I say the D line, because the D line is going to they're going to make life easier
for the
on the
line.
rest of the defense. Yep.
Yeah, no doubt. But talking about Kobe McKenzie, that goes over there to you there, Mr. Mason. You've got him as the defensive MVP.
I don't see any way that OU wins without Kobe McKenzie having a great game. Um, he's the hammer to hit he's the hammer to hit the Michigan running game, the Michigan power running game, what they want to do. I think Kobe and the D line, as Chris said, I think Kobe, he has a big day. He has a day where we're starting to talk about him in the same sort of breath as sort of Curtis and Lance Mitchell, kind of breath. Like, okay, he's a veteran middle linebacker in the defense. He's done everything to get in great shape. We all thought Sam O was maybe going to take his job, and Kobe just said, "Nope,
No.
that ain't happening," and had a fantastic August camp, as I was telling you guys. And
Yeah.
I think he carries that into the run fits, keeping the defense aligned correctly, stopping the big play from the misalignment stuff. And I think he has like a 12, 13 tackle kind of day, a couple tackles for loss. And Brent's talking about him, he's saying, Kobe led our defense. Don't think he, that's the middle linebacker play that we've always wanted to see from him.
Right. And that's the reason that I have Kendall Daniels here. I think you're probably going to see him more, at that cheetah position. You're probably going to have to spy a little bit for Underwood. I think that's going to allow him to kind of move around, and they're going to put him in some different places to be a disruptor. I like Kendall Daniels in that situation. We know he can get in the backfield, but I think that he's got the speed and the size that, have fun with that. If he's going to be paying attention to what the quarterback's doing, waiting for him to get out of, to try to get out of the pocket. I think he's the kind of guy that can close distance quickly and get him on the ground. I like his chances of being the defensive MVP this week myself.
I think he could be I think he could have those big explosive plays on defense where it's, maybe Kobe's the lunch pail guy and he's doing all the little things, but all of a sudden when you're saying like, play of the game kind of defensive play,
Absolutely.
I think that could be easily Kendall Daniels with a pick or a sack of Underwood, or Underwood on 4th and 4 is trying to do some sort of bootleg thing, and all of a sudden he thinks he's got it, and Daniels flies in and smacks him, knocks him around, and that turns the ball over to OU. That's the kind of thing.
He's got a little bit of a combination of Kobe and Kip when it comes to that stuff. Plus, I mean, his athleticism's through the roof, man.
And he's going to play. I mean, Michigan's the one team we knew was not going to go like 5 wide, 4 wide, and maybe force us to have to replace Daniels with someone else like, Reggie Powers or maybe Jeremiah Newcomb to just, you don't want him on going 40 yards downfield with slot guys. That's not Michigan. He can cover tight ends. He can be your spy on the quarterback. Or they're going to line up, and he's your Sam linebacker at 6'5", 240. So.
Yeah, and I think they're going to send him to the quarterback too a lot. I think once they get an idea, and I think he can stop the run too. He's done that in the past. When he was at Oklahoma State, I like him there for that reason. We all have John Mateer as offensive MVP. I think it obviously I think that's a reflection of what we expect better happen if they're going to win this game. We all have them winning this game. So, anything you want to add on that, as far as John Mateer? I mean, I think we've talked at length about him. So,
there is a world if the passing game's humming that someone like Burks or Satania, if they went off, you would roll back and say, yeah, they made the big explosive plays to win the game. Okay. So I think that's a possibility because rack yards,
leading the way to get them the football and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean just some Mateer finds them open, hits them in stride, and they find Michigan has miscalculated alignment, and Burks or Satania take it to the house, take a couple of short passes to the house. So all of a sudden you're like, okay, Mateer's stats are a little amplified by the fact that Satania goes 3 for 110 or something like that, and you're like, yeah, really, I think that's the possibility. But overall, I think if it's the grind out game we kind of think it might be, I just don't see how it's not John Mateer.
Mhm. Les Austin, did we? I don't think anybody called you guys cowards. Anybody. I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but yeah, there's respect here. But I think that where Oklahoma is right now, and where you are right now in the rebuild since you lost Jim Harbaugh and all those guys to the draft, I think Oklahoma's ahead of it. So you guys can think what you want. It's all good. Act like we're all the 80 and 85 Bears. I think that people are sleeping on this defense, bud. I think they are. And, I think this is one of those games that you're going to see why. You're going to see why. That's why I have them winning 35-17. I think this is it may be close for a little while. I don't know for how long. I think they pull away in the second half when they're able to get to Bryce Underwood. I think that underestimating the defense and what Michigan fans have been doing is underestimating Brent Venables' defenses and what they do with young quarterbacks that have never seen anything like it. That's what I think. So that's where I'm at with my score. Okay, Chris?
Yeah, no, 113. It's not that I don't respect. D Brown is in here calling people delusional and this and that. I think that
Yeah.
first off, calm down. It's going to be proven on the field. At the end of the day, you
We're
guys think,
here whenever if it happens like what you guys are swearing it is,
yeah,
guess what? We're gonna be here next week. I bet you're not whenever.
we will eat crow. But
Yeah.
regardless, though, no, I think it's one of those things simply where, hey, freshman comes in here. We've seen this defense at its best. We saw last year how physical this defense is. And the thing about it is this right here. Ryan Day has a national championship. Venables has a bunch as a defensive coordinator, not as a head coach. Ryan Day has one, but I think it's a different style of ball here. And the whole thing is that I think that defense last year was pretty damn good for Ohio State, even with all the behind the scenes stuff that was going on, and it was very physical. But the thing is, as we always say, it's a rivalry game. So you guys have owned them. You guys have been physical. You guys have hit them in the mouth. I don't necessarily know if you're going to come to Norman, that crowd, everything that's going on, and you're going to punch OU in the mouth. I just don't see it. And this year, we're feeling confident because we have an offense. So it's not necessarily being delusional. Is that, hey, we've seen these guys in action. We've seen these guys play big time ball. But thing is that we think that we're going to be able to meet your physicality. So with that being said, I'll let him do what he has to do in the comments. But 31-13 is what I have it. I think that we have a hell of a day. I think that we do. I think we do what we do. I think that we get to the quarterback. I think that we cause a lot of pressure. We disguise things. Venables is going to be very aggressive. I think the biggest thing for me is that this is not year two install of this defense. This is year 2, 3, and 4 for some guys that have been here with Venables. So that makes a big difference because now they understand just be assignment savvy. That's all that you have to do. So with that being said, 31-13. Chris Mason.
Well, last week you went with sort of the low ball, kind of score. So I'm going with 20-17. I think it's a tight game. I think Michigan's defense plays well. I think OU, it's gonna be a fourth quarter game, and I think John Mateer puts a drive together, puts OU up by a field goal. Michigan tries to respond and ends up, 4th and 4, like Arch in Columbus. Underwood, gets tackled short of the line, and OU then is able to run out the clock and go to victory formation. I think it's just going to be a tough game. It's going to be a close game. The defenses, I think, are ahead of the offenses at this point. If you played this game later in the year, I might have a different score value, or depending upon the location and all that. I think the OU has a great crowd, and the defense plays, maybe its best game under Brent, and the offense, unlike last year, doesn't make the mistakes, doesn't make keeps Michigan honest, and Mateer's able to do enough to keep OU in the game, and then he puts together kind of that classic drive where OU's able to kill some clock, drive the field, kick a field goal, and go up, and then the defense and a classic Brent defensive stand stops Michigan from responding.
Oh,
Crowning here like a Texas fan, bro. He's passionate about this. No, we
saying that
try.
we're being disrespectful. I don't. Where have we
I,
disrespected these guys?
I've got all kinds of respect for Michigan not buying out this game.
Yeah.
If I was them, I would have bought this game out.
It surprised me that they didn't.
You know,
I mean,
because they don't need
the
this.
ways to get rid of these games. So
They don't need this. They can. I mean, I've got all kinds of respect. I mean, OU fans are dying to go to Ann Arbor. We haven't played Michigan since 1975, and I
Why
wasn't even
that game has not been played before, other than the Orange Bowl.
the Orange Bowl. We've never played you guys, so I don't know that we have any venom. I mean, you guys are coming. OU fans love Sharon Moore. He's part of that national. He should have won a national championship in 08. He was part of that great team. So it's not like we hate your coach. It's not like you're OSU or somebody, where we can't stand your coach. So I think Michigan's a good team. I think the rematch in Ann Arbor next year, if both teams have good seasons this year, could be an old time classic.
I said this earlier too, and I've been saying this a few times. I think if this was later in the year, it might be different. Because I do think that Bryce Underwood is a legitimately stud. I think he's going to be the real deal. I think it's a little early in his career to go expecting him to be able to put up.
Go up to Norman and put 35 points on an experienced Brent defense. I mean, next year in Ann Arbor at your place, I don't know what I'm going to be picking, but in Norman right now, I think OU wins a close game, and I'm not sure how 20-17 is disrespecting anyone. So
disrespect, because we're not just going to sit here and tell you that you're going to come into the Palace like you own the place and win. Come on, man, it doesn't happen very often.
I mean, if you were returning an elite quarterback and had the majority of your defensive starters back, and you had elite weapons on the outside, then I'd be like, ooh, I don't know about this. I mean, you should listen to our season preview. We're not. None of us picked OU to go 12-0 and win every game by 30 points. So, I think Michigan is going to be good this year, and Underwood will be better and better each game, and it will probably be a hockey stick to improvement curve. But game 2, without a lot of weapons around him, other than your tight end sounds really good.
Hey, and that's the other thing. But we're saying that Oklahoma's going to win. I was just on a Michigan show an hour ago, or an hour before this one, and both of the guys that I was on with picked Oklahoma. They're Michigan guys. They both picked Oklahoma. So miss me with the disrespect because we're saying that Oklahoma's going to win. Come on, get out of here with that shit. It's got to be wild. I mean, come on, fellas. Let's move on to the pick 5. Our My Bookie pick 5 segment here. Make sure that you get over to My Bookie and get your up to $1,000 welcome bonus for your first deposit. hofmedia.us/mybookie1000. It'll get you 100% deposit bonus up to $1,000. So if you're so sure about Michigan winning this game, go put some money on it, man, instead of talking shit in here. Last week, not so good, guys. Not so good. Let me make sure that I'm good here. Actually, I'm not. Let me get you in here, Mr. Mason, and then Chris. Yeah, so obviously not so good for any of us last week, guys. Last week 2-3 for me and K Chris. Chris Mason went from 4-1 to 1-4.
House always wins, right?
The house always wins, indeed. The house always wins, indeed. Pretty good stuff, man. I thought it was pretty funny, but Let's talk a little bit about it. I mean, obviously, we all won Ohio State. That was your one win. You know, everybody was so sure that Texas. You know, they weren't favored by Vegas to win, but or I guess they were by my bookie. They were favored to win, but not a great game, K. Chris. Not a great game for the Longhorns, man. Come on.
I've seen so many different tweets that, hey, if you're one of the fan bases that are making fun of our guy, don't 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 put out receipts for us to come back to if he torches your team. I've seen a lot of the national media, basically run. You know what I'm saying? Hey, she's a runner. She's a track star. If you get what I'm saying, I've seen them run from the heat that was coming their way. I've seen people go from number one in the draft all the way to, yeah, he probably needs another year. I've seen talk show hosts backtrack and talking riddles and now trying to speak like Jesus and these metaphorical ways that just they don't necessarily make sense, but they make sense in your situation. I've seen so much, and you know what? I love it all simply because Texas. Now you get to now you have to understand what it's like not to necessarily have a quarterback that's on top of the mountain. These next 2 weeks, you're gonna go do your thing and you're going to go and put up a lot of numbers and hopefully you get it right because we want you at your best, but you got to go to the swamp. Hopefully they're not beat up with their schedule. But I've heard a lot of stuff about these Longhorns, a lot of stuff
Come on.
coming into that game 28-10. I've heard Archer's going to do this, his legs are going to be in play. He was just going to torch that defense lost way too much on Ohio State. And I said this, people, he's playing at Ohio State. That crowd is going to be ruckus. Okay. At the end of the day, the only person that really came out of that game looking good was Dale Conte. Why? Because Dale Conte told everybody, I got church in the morning. I don't got time to play no game at night. Okay. So, with that being said, Texas, we like it, and we love it. And we're not sorry about it. You
What's
No,
that?
deserve this. This is what you get. Off-season champs, of course. Now shut the hell up while everybody else plays football, okay? Go and do what you need to do against San Jose State. Go and do what you need to do against UTEP. Just understand, we're talking football now.
no.
We'll see you guys in about 3 weeks, and we'll see what you really made up. We'll give you another chance to show everybody why you're still a top 10 team. If not, we'll see you in Dallas. That's all I
It's
have
the
to say.
it's like this the Chappelle graphic meme, right? Like you love to see it, you hate to see it, but then you love to see it. I'm not sure if you've seen that one, but it's Chappelle doing something from his show, and it's like you hate to see it, but then again, you love to see
You
it.
love to see it. You love to see it. Hey, there's nothing to not love about
Uh,
uh about Texas getting beat, man. I'm sorry. There's nothing to not love about that.
yeah.
Especially with all the shit they've been talking for all this time. Guys, but there were some other games though. I mean, I gotta give K Chris props. We were talking back and forth about it. Notre Dame getting beat at Miami. Um,
I
none of it
did not understand my Notre Dame's game plan, man.
it got better at the end, but it certainly was odd to start the game off. I didn't understand why you weren't running Jeremiah Love a lot
He had
freaking.
like what 5 carries through the first
It's,
three quarters.
yeah, the stupidest shit I've ever seen. And when CJ Carr is the leading rusher and has more carries, there's something wrong there because this kid's a passer. It's not like you're Riley Leonard that we're talking about even. So it's wild to me that that's how it went down. But and man, hell, Cristobal tried to fuck it up though.
He did. He did.
though.
Hey, death, taxes, and crystal ball fucking up something, right? That's always going to be there.
I'm
No,
telling you.
look, I picked Miami just because I felt it. I don't think this is anything that is going to kill Notre Dame's season. They still have a lot of games left. I think they got Texas A&M next week, if I'm not mistaken. So they
Yep.
have a chance to bounce right back. They that's a must win game for them to keep everything alive, for real, for real. So no, I had Miami winning this game. It is what it is. Um, can I come in on the Auburn game and the Baylor game now?
Please do.
Oh
I mean,
yeah, please do.
I want to talk about that a little bit. Go ahead, please.
So all I have to say is this right here is that I'm not going to sit here and bash Auburn. Honestly, what I wanted to say was after watching and I didn't watch BYU. I didn't get a chance to watch BYU. But I
Mhm.
feel confident in my pick, though, by saying this. I think Utah's going to win the Big 12, but the Big 12 is wide open. People, I watched Baylor and I said, hey, Sawyer Robertson was a couple of plays away from really turning that game on its head. The problem is that you lost momentum. Jackson connected on a couple of passes that
Well, that kickoff return killed them too.
yeah, they connected on some good balls. I think the problem for me was just a simple fact of, and you saw it in David Aranda's face. Every time Jackson took off running, you were like, that's not a part of the game plan. We were supposed to have somebody there. We're supposed to have somebody spying him.
It's wild to me that they didn't make Jackson beat you with his arm.
Yeah. But the whole thing is, I'll say this right here: Baylor's a good football team. That wide receiver core is going to give a lot of people in the Big 12 a lot of problems. Those guys are fast, so it's going to be interesting to see if
Auburn's
the defense.
secondary was but that's just me.
So what?
I said I think Auburn's secondary is but.
No, I'm about to say it's the defense seems like it's the problem, but I'm just saying that offense, if they get hot, they're going to be a hard out for anybody simply because they can score at will and they have some real weapons there at Baylor offensively. So I thought it was more about the defense letting down Baylor than it was anything that Jackson and Auburn did. I think Jackson had a good game, but it was more of the same. It's still not necessarily a step in the right direction. Ball State is talking a lot of noise, so I expect Auburn to put a foot in them. But I'd like to see Singleton and Cam Coleman be more featured in the pass game. I think that's something to keep an eye on. If you're sitting there 7-5, 8-4, it's a bunch of superstar guys out there this year that I'm like, could they jump in the portal? I think Singleton is probably, or is it Singleton? That's
Yeah,
yes.
Eric Singleton that came from Georgia Tech.
Known is at Texas A&M. Get those two confused for some reason. But
Yeah.
Singleton is a guy that's probably trying to go to the league regardless. But Coleman, guys like that, I'm saying, hey, you're messing with his numbers now, right?
Yeah,
If,
yeah.
if Deuce Knight is the answer, that's great. But if Jackson is going to basically run a triple option there at
Well, it's the only way they win, Chris. It's
yeah,
the only
it's,
way they win.
Did you guys not think that Baylor's defensive front was slow and small?
It was, but it also I didn't think that the scheme was very good. You can decide that a quarterback is not going to beat you with his fucking legs.
Yeah, I get you. I don't think. I mean, they. Yeah, I'm just used to Baylor's front, and this is maybe the last time we sort of saw a decent Baylor. I mean, the Petrie guy at linebacker and the guys they used to have up front. That defense just looks like a shell of itself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Auburn was not really doing much of anything, and just their offensive line was sort of abusing Baylor's front. It was. I was surprised. I thought Baylor would put on a better effort defensively. I just don't think they got the horses.
Got it. What are you saying? I was Benji. Oh, buddy, he's all hurt because we're talking shit about Texas too. I'm sorry, bud. I'm sorry, bud. How about that Clemson game, real quick, before we move on to this week's picks and get out of here?
head scratcher. That's all I got to say.
Head scratcher. Okay.
Head scratcher.
Pretty dominant performance. I think they should have won by more, even, but Clemson did not. I don't know, man. Didn't look good. Didn't look good.
Clemson came out there with all the momentum, and then it just went away. So that's why I say that.
Okay.
Yeah, Clemson looks like they still have problems on stopping the run.
Yeah.
I mean, that was their problem last year. They've got good talent up front, but I don't think their back seven's very good.
Yeah.
I mean, although the Sammy Brown kid flashed quite a bit, and I kind of wish he was a Sooner.
Man,
We
me too.
we tried to get him in recruiting and didn't. I don't know. We'll have to see. I've never been a big Klubnik fan, so and I'm just proved what I've thought all year long is that Nuss is the guy. When you think about our future schedule, the schedule we're looking at, Nuss is the guy who where we may not have we may not have a QB advantage when we play LSU. Nuss is the dude.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I would agree with that. I think that Nuss definitely showed out, man. To not have any turnovers, and to go in there and I mean he made some big plays, and they had a couple that were kind of taken away from him too. That it felt like the game was about to get out of hand completely. So yeah, I shout out to LSU for getting it done. Um, yeah, and then of course we all lost because OU didn't cover. But it was pretty close there, but they didn't get it done. So moving on. All right, let's check out this week. That brings us to again. We're all at. Okay, Chris and I are at 4-6 overall on this young season. Mr. Mason drops to 5-5 after that stellar week 1, 4-1 go. I think we already talked about this. He's got Michigan on here because he thinks that they stay within the 5-point spread that is there with my bookie right now. There, or at least that was what it was earlier today. It's kind of moving around a lot the last few days all over.
Yeah.
So the betting's been pretty wild. But the betting public seems to be picking Oklahoma as well. So we'll kind of see how that goes.
Yeah, it's been up to 5.5, right? Nearly 6 at some points this week, depending upon what service
Right.
where you go. It's been a little move. There's been some movement there. So I'm picking Michigan to cover, not to win.
Right. I got you on that. I'm the only one that thinks Iowa State is going to beat Iowa. Iowa State, of course, given 3 at home. I don't believe in Iowa's offense at all. I think that Iowa State can put some offense up. I think it's rare that they get a win in this one, but I think this is one of those years that they do. I like Rocco Becht in Iowa State. So,
I'm gonna change mine if I made to Iowa State because I didn't realize they were playing at Iowa State because Iowa State has had their number for the last 2 years now.
I think they lost last year, but they won the year before that.
No, I think they won last year.
Did they win last year? Maybe you may be right. You may be right. I don't like Iowa at all right now. It's not the same. I think they got a good defense. I think it's going to be a low scoring game. I think the under is probably the best pick in this one. It'll be the under 41, I think. If you're going to bet it. So
yeah, I just figured it's Matt Campbell's due for one of those head scratching games and decisions where Iowa State finds a way to lose.
Get on the sideline and
if they finds a way to lose this game, and we're scratching our heads like, he's sort of like the reverse Cristobal a little bit. He can win big games, but somehow he finds a way to lose little games in weird ways. They did beat Iowa last year, and they lost to Iowa in 23.
Actually, I'm gonna stay with Iowa simply because, and I don't want to throw rocks from a glass house, but that Iowa State offensive line is not that good, fellas.
The offensive line?
Yeah, I wasn't impressed with them against K State. K State had a lot of success against them. It was just the fact that K State's offense is just really sluggish.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Next up, the border war. Kansas 6.5 points they're getting at Mizzou. This is a real hatred game. I mean a real hatred game. I guess let's talk about. We've all got KU, but and the reason for me is pretty simple. I think that Jalen Daniels is healthy, and they were really really good at the end of last year. After starting off terribly, but they were really good at the end of last year. They've looked really good so far, and I don't think that much of Mizzou. Plus, you're giving them 6.5 points. I think it's a clear. You have a clear advantage at the quarterback position. So myself, I gotta go with KU. But talk
I,
to me about this game. I love it that they're playing it again because I think that uh, rivalries are so important. But talk to me.
Kansas has the better quarterback. All they have to do is just keep him upright and be able to move the ball. Biggest thing for me is that Kansas looks like they're running a variation. It seems like the offense that they're running thus far this season is close to what they were running under Colt Necky. To me, it's a lot of misdirection, a lot of gadgety type plays, a lot of things that's getting Daniels out in the open. As far not necessarily running, but just kind of bootleg, just to kind of to throw the ball. When healthy, my uncle loves to say, shout out to Unc, he thinks that when healthy, even a couple of years ago, Jalen Daniels is the best quarterback in the Big 12, right? So
You
thing
would.
is that I think KU just really looked explosive. Mizzou, obviously, they had to win last week. Start off a little sluggish. A lot of people are excited about them, but we shall see. That quarterback is going to have to put some drives together. That Kansas defense is not necessarily nasty, but they're not necessarily bad either. So they're somewhere kind of in between to where they will get stops. They will play aggressive. If you let them believe, then they will play with a lot of confidence. So I think Kansas gets them simply because I just think Jalen Daniels is going to be a lot. I think he's going to be able to move the ball, and they're also going to be able to run the ball as well. Uh, uh, I think they don't have Neal anymore, but I think Highshaw is still there, and I know they got another running back that they believe in because he was getting a lot of tick these past couple of weeks. So
He's
we shall.
from Iowa, isn't he? They have an
One thing those guys
Iowa
know how to do
transfer.
is run the ball, man. That's
Yeah,
for sure with Lance Leipold.
yeah.
Yeah, I like Daniels over Probilla. Is that his name?
Pribula, yeah, Pribula.
Probula. I just like Daniels over him. I'll take the veteran quarterback over the new guy who hasn't really played that much and is going to see a Division One, an actual real defense for the first time. And
Yeah.
I think Missouri's lost some playmakers. They've lost some some of their better players last year. So I think Daniels and the KU offense is heading in the right direction. And I've got plus I got 6.5 points to play with. So
And this is real hate in this game. I mean, it could go either way for sure. I would tell you that, but I definitely I really like Jalen Daniels, and it's been a situation of him healthy or not. And I don't know how you can feel that good. And I'm struggling to understand what Vegas and my bookie and them are thinking right here because I just don't see Missouri as being near what they were last year, and I don't believe that they're. I don't know. I just don't. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it yet. I don't know. It's just me. Let's see. Next up, South Florida at Florida. We all have South Florida winning this game. Number one, that's a
no,
big
no,
deal.
not winning,
Not winning, covering.
covering.
More than I picked Florida on this.
I think you did.
Did
I
you?
picked Florida.
Let me go back
Let
here.
me go back. I'm looking right
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Chris picked Florida.
Wow, you think they're going to cover that much? Maybe I was just giving you the benefit of the doubt.
No,
KK.
I got Florida winning
I
this
think you're
game
crazy.
big, man.
He
I
does. He
like
does. He does. He
I
does.
like what they have going down there at USF, but I am not a believer like that. I don't know. It's in the swamp. Two, it'd be different if Graham Mertz was playing, but no, you got DJ Lagway on that other side of the ball. He's doing his thing this year. I got Florida. Florida gonna get busy out there. They're gonna put this game away. They need to put this game away quickly because you got at LSU next, and then at Miami the week after that before you face Texas. So you
I'm
need.
not saying they're winning the actual game, K. Chris. I'm saying 17 and a half with the way this team has played, and they've played not just like this year.
Yeah.
They've been able to go up against good opponents, Power 5 opponents, Power 4 opponents for the last few years. They
Mhm.
gave Alabama everything they wanted for 2 years in a row.
Yeah,
One of the years with Nick Saban. Don't even start with me about the
yeah, yeah. But you're talking about Ty Simpson starting that one game, so I'm not going to even go there. But what I'm telling you is that Florida is not. It's not. This is not those years. Florida is going to lean on them. They're going to be heavy, They're going to play disciplined ball. Napier has them going in the right direction. Everything is going good. And then again, they have an electric quarterback. But like I said, Florida gets the job done. They cover that spread mighty heavily.
Yeah, the reason I thought USF was very physical, which I think can keep them in the game. But I think, okay, Chris, I'm going to go the opposite reason why they don't cover. I think Florida might be looking ahead a little bit to LSU and that game in Death Valley. So I think maybe Florida isn't quite as sharp as you think, and they're maybe looking ahead a little bit. And it's a lot of points. I mean, it's a late. It screams late touchdown cover kind of situation to me.
Okay. Okay. Well, and then obviously we go to the hit here. Oklahoma State at Oregon. Before we talk about it, we've all picked Oregon. I mean, I don't even think it really matters here, but I do, because how lame is it that you have Mike Gundy talking about the money disparity and stuff like that? A week ago, you played Middle Tennessee State. And so, first off, stop it. You're a Power 4 program, and you're going to go out there and get beat by 28 and a half. I loved what Dan Lanning had to say back to him, that we use the money to be competitive. It's funny how some people, save their money and then use it as an excuse to lose, and I think that's exactly what it is. How in the world, what a joke this is. What a joke this is. I'm going to pass it. You know what? I'm going to send it over to the homer, the lover of Mike Gundy, K. Chris, real quick. And defend this shit. Defend this shit.
Gundy he's a great developer. We can't deny that.
Oh my God.
But I mean, come on now. Justin Blackman was a 2-star coming out and could have probably had yeah. Anyways, here's what I had to say, Jason. If you see Mike Gundy in the forest fighting a bear, help the bear. That's what I gotta say. Mike Gundy raised his shirt up and showed the hair on his chest. He got up there, Jason, and he said what he said.
Bro.
He gonna take an ass whooping. But the problem is
He
simply
knows he's taking an ass whipping. That's what's so lame about this. That's
Jason,
exactly, he's such a lame ass.
Jason,
He knows he's going to take an ass whipping. So what's he doing? He goes out there and he's doing the ahead of time excuse making. And the people like you and the Okie Light fans out there of the world are fucking letting him get away with it.
Jason, you know why we
Unbelievable,
let him
bro.
get away with it? Are you a boxing fan, Jason?
I'm a boxing fan.
Exactly. So you should love that. There's been plenty of fights where we knew. There's been plenty of you. If anybody here's a UFC guy, there's been plenty of fights. We saw plenty of people go out there and talk a lot of shit and get their shit knocked loose. We know what's about to happen, Jason. But we like the show. We like the entertainment. We like the
No.
I don't think he's that entertaining. I think he's a moron.
I think he's an absolute bullshitter. It's always been smoke and mirrors with this guy. Always. What are you even talking about? I can't believe you're continuing to be an apologist for mediocre Mike Gundy. How do you do this, man? This is how you want to be when God comes back. Is that what you're telling me, bro?
All I'm saying is this right here. I love the build up. It's a slow build. It's a slow grind to it. 2 years ago, it was all about clicks and whatever the hell that Lanning was saying in response to Dion. Dion took no shots, went up there and did what he needed to do. But you
I think that's exactly what's happening. He is teeing it up for them to get a CU level ass whipping on Saturday.
I told one of my OSU homeboys, I said, "Hey man, look, Lanning ain't the one to go. I'm gonna go ahead and say, I'm be blunt with you. I told him, I said, Lanning ain't the one that you're gonna fuck with. That is not the one. Lanning is gonna run that score up. and he's gonna make you love every second of it. And whenever there's 10 seconds on the clock and they're at the 3 yard line, they're gonna score again, and they're gonna line up and they're gonna probably run for two. Hey, all I'm saying is this right here. Hey, this is why. Look, Gundy is the closest thing to Mike Leach that we have to today, at least at the pressers. You never know what's gonna happen. He was up there getting butt booty naked, talking to these reporters about God knows what. Sometimes he goes off the rail. But I'm telling you, the slow build up to this ass whooping right here is amazing. 2:30, I will be glued to the TV watching it. I plan to take a nap though.
Until about 2:45 when it's already 45 to nothing.
Oh, he made a backhanded comment that nobody's talking about Dante Moore, because I know there were some comments made about him
Talking
being.
about it's going to be expensive to keep him.
Well, not only that, but basically he made a backhanded comment in which talk around Oregon. They're saying that he could be the best ever, best quarterback ever that came out of Oregon, and he started naming off Herbert and some other guys or whatnot, a Dixon kid, I believe, and he made some very backhanded comments. So I said, I mean, it's not that they even needed bulletin board material, but you're going up there with your second string quarterback who, when he got into the game, I don't know how it was a quarterback competition because he looked ass. So you're going up there with him, and I haven't seen him. I really haven't seen him pass. I don't remember seeing him pass in the UT Martin game. I saw him do the Jackson Arnold thing where he was just taking every single. He was a keeper on every single RPO, and he ran it until he couldn't run it anymore.
They didn't look good against UT Martin either, by the way. They just didn't look that good. I wouldn't be surprised if they had another stellar 1-8, 0-9 Big 12 season again, but this was stupid. Oregon's going to beat the brakes off them, and this is just it's funny to me because it's like he doesn't realize that everybody fucking knows that everybody knows that you're just basically throwing out your excuse early so that the bubble there in Stillwater is going to buy into his bullshit. The rest of us know what coach speak sounds like. Come on, man. And excuse making. What a joke. How he's still the coach there. It just tells you why they're Okie like. It does. Mr. Mason, you want to send us out on this one?
I mean, it's clear that he knows. I mean, he's deflecting, and he's deflecting and doing everything to change the narrative about. Oh, look how funny Mike is, and he's like a clown, and it's just so obvious, bringing up this money issue, and let's not forget that T. Boone Pickens dumped all this cash into OSU, and they originated the big money donor who got to decide who the athletic director was, who the coach was, and all that nonsense. But let's forget all that. But it's just, the sad thing is, if you're an OSU fan, the only way that this game was made relevant was by Gundy showing his ass at a press conference, because otherwise, OSU isn't even a speed bump to Oregon. That's how far OSU has dropped. Is that they're going to Oregon, and all people can talk about is what Gundy did. I mean, can we name any player OSU has at all? Anybody? I mean, I know they got an ex-Sooner.
I know. Yeah, well, those guys, but
they got a couple ex-Sooners.
Quarterback. And
yeah,
they've been talking about him for 2 years like he was the next coming of God, and it's not what it looks like. It's just not.
So I mean, I think that's, if you're OSU fans, you have to wonder. I mean, I don't think they're part of because, as you said, the Big 12's wide open. It's there for the taking. Although Utah might run away with it after. It's hard to get a read on that UCLA win too much, but their new quarterback and new offensive coordinator sure look good. But yeah, it's just sad. OSU. Well, he might.
No, I was laughing at what you just said. I think it's great. I love it.
But I think he's just. I mean, it's so sad that OSU is reduced to this level, that they are barely a speed speed bump on Oregon's out of conference schedule.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's just sad. I mean, they used to be competitive, but no one wants to work for Gundy. That's why he had to hire the guys that he did. And he's obviously a terrible boss because he couldn't find anybody other than Grantham, who's just a joke. I think it's just sad what OSU's become. So I mean,
It's sad. To me, it's what he's talking about, the things that he's saying. It just illuminates even more how, if there ever was a time that he was the right guy there, which I still think is highly arguable, but it isn't now for sure. It's not arguable at all. He doesn't belong in college football coaching. He has no ability to be able to change who he is as a coach and love the NIL era. He's alluding to that all the way around. But the idea that there's some broke ass school, is wild to me, because we know better than that. We know better than that. And you could compete in the Big 12 for all these years with Texas and Oklahoma in it, but you can't go up against an Oregon team that OU beats the brakes off of every time they play. It doesn't even, you're just making excuses because you're in that bad of shape at this point that you went from penthouse to outhouse in 1 year with all guys coming back from the year that you were in the penthouse. It's just wild to me. It's just wild to me. He's such a bullshit. But
All right, let's wrap this up. We've been on here for
yeah, we've been on for a while. We've been 2 hours. It's we're a little longer with doing our picks. But anything you want to add to end this thing there, okay, Chris?
All I want to say is Boomer Sooner, 31-13. I think the good guys win. I think Michigan rolls in here. I think they play a hell of a game, but I think we get it done. I think that it is a battle in the trenches, but I think somehow we get it done. I think we're feeling pretty damn good going into the Temple game.
Yeah, I think same thing. I'm gonna say the same. I have 35-17. So I think that they keep it close for a while. I think it's a great game. I love it that they're having it. Look, if it's closer, I'll eat crow on it, but I think OU wins. I just don't know another way around it. With this defense and new quarterback, styles make fights. I think that the style that this fight is going to be tough for Michigan. It's not disrespectful. It's just facts. Mr. Mason.
Very much hope OU wins. I like your scores better than my score, but
Yeah.
it is critical to win this game with the talent for 2027 that is on campus in 2028. You need crowd needs to show out. We need to look good, look like a program that elite players who are on campus. We want them coming out of that game saying, I'm coming back to Norman. OU's getting official visits from me. OU's, in my top 5. That's what we need to hear.
Love it, man. I'm excited about that as well. I think that's as big a part of it as anything. This is a chance to make some real ground in recruiting. So good stuff. All right, guys. We appreciate everybody joining us on Sooner Intel. As always, we'll be back, same bat time, same bat channels next week, to hopefully talking about a Sooner victory heading into a semi-off week that they're traveling in.
Check us out this Saturday as well. We will be doing a podcast instant reaction.
And then we'll have a recruiting wrap up Monday night, Chris and I. And then Wednesday, keep an eye out for the 360 Recruiting Podcast, new episode from me.
Right on. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for coming in. We'll see you all on the next one.